So now that we got our kerfs cut in there, both sides, I'm gonna grab my iron, still hot, and I'm just gonna go again at the edge of the table, and I'm just gonna use the tip of my iron this time, and I'm just gonna do like one little section at a time. And you can see it's starting to roll over there a little bit. Now you can go with whatever degree of bevel that you want. Me, I find the shallower the bevel, the longer you go on the top side, the more it actually wants to wrinkle the paper. And really when it comes down to it, it's all just mostly aesthetics anyway. Your control surfaces don't really need to have a super sharp tail at the back end. Some people will argue that yeah you do. It kind of needs that sharp curve, or that shallow bevel, kind of make it more scale. Again, that's just a lot of aesthetics. Some people will argue the fact that if the air meets at the back edge of a control surface a little too aggressively when you have a shallow curve like that, then what will happen is that you end up getting a little bit of flutter at higher speeds. So what I kind of like to do is just kind of round it off, seal it in, and just get it to blend. So you can see that one there. I only used the tip of the iron, and we got it nice, and you can see how the curves, they kind of start to overlap a little bit. I'll do the other side, I'll see where they meet in the middle, and then I'll come back to it. So again, just like a 45-degree angle or a bit shallower, it's up to you. Just kind of work it as you need it. You can see it kind of come around. You don't need to be aggressive with it. I'm not putting any pressure on it. I'm letting the heat from the iron actually do the work for me. All I'm doing is just moving the iron back and forth. And again, you don't need a special modeling iron. You don't need to go out and spend 30 bucks. 40 bucks, buying yourself something that you would use like on monocoat or anything like that. You can kind of play with the temperatures just on scrap pieces of foam, see what temperature works for you. Mine just happens to be set on like 4 out of 7. So it's just a little bit higher than half heat, but that just what happens to be where this iron ends up working out. Again, it was just experiment time on these scrap pieces of foam. So that's pretty much all I'm looking at. So I'm going to bring it right to the edge. You can see how that plastic is starting to spit out there a little bit. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That way I know that the foam on the inside is now melted and it's turned itself into plastic. Again, take a bit of a look at it. Hasn't quite met in the middle yet. I got some areas that are a little bit thicker than others. So I'm just going to go back from the other side and just try to match it up just a little bit. And again, it's going to melt again. It's going to come together. Just give it a little bit of time, have some patience with it, and it works out pretty easily. You see how this is kind of like bringing it down progressively. I'm not trying to get aggressive at it. I'm not trying to force anything. It's just super simple. Take a look at that. Get in there, come back to the other side. We'll try to match it up again. Now for you guys out there that like, the speed build kits, I like everything having cut out for me and everything like that. And but you don't like your edges delaminating or anything like that. This doesn't take any more time than using the smear the glue on method. And it actually works out to be a stronger piece, and it'll actually help your planes last a lot longer. Now as far as the aerodynamic sort of capabilities of it, it's not a flat raw edge that's facing the air or anything like that, or any oncoming air. And it actually, like I said, it helps strengthen and stiffen things up as well. So imagine me putting a spar down the middle of this stabilizer, or gluing a skewer in the front edge. I'm adding weight. I'm adding glue, the skewer itself. I'm actually taking advantage of the foam board's properties to make it work out for me. So you can see there, I've kind of evened out that entire edge. And the nice part is I got all those little serrated sort of bumps of plastic right there. It's all plastic. Again, I'm going to take my sandpaper block, just kind of knock it down a bit. Super simple. Just like that. Got it right down. Take my soft block, and again, just kind of go over top of it. Knock it down so it's smooth. And I swear when you go to your flying field and you do your edges like this, you're going to have guys wondering, what is this plane made out of? You're telling me it's foam board. It looks like a balsa model. Yes, it does. Because you just took that little bit of extra time to make everything super slick. Just like that. Nice and smooth. You can go over it. You can be as picky or as not picky as you want. It's entirely up to you. Thing is, I really like this job so far, and I'm going to go with it. As far as the hinge lines go, or even doing like your double bevels for the leading edge of wings, that kind of stuff, I'm going to go ahead and do my hinge line. So, line up my marks. Right about there. Take my little hobby knife here. I'm just going to go in and give it a bit of a cut. Now you'll find when you actually go in and cut, compare it to the foam, you're going to see that your edge is going to be a little bit harder to cut. I'm going to use my other knife. Trust the old Olfa. It's going to be a little bit harder because that foam is now turned into a plastic. But I'm just going to give myself a quick score cut here. Make it nice and pretty, just like that. Check to see I didn't go through. Take it to the edge of the table, give it the break, little poppy pop. There we go. Didn't go through the paper or anything like that. I'm going to fold it over. I'll do my solid side first. And again, edge of the table, and you're only going to want to bring it down right to the paper. You're not going to want to like go right to the table. You're just going to bring it down to the end of the paper. This is why I like doing this progressively as opposed to, you know, just heating up the one spot and pushing the iron through. I want the heat from the iron to do the work. So again, back and forth, and you'll see it progressively step itself down. If you have a little issues with any sort of like, you know, wrinkling or folding or unevenness, just go back, kind of give it a little bit of detail work, that kind of thing. Super easy stuff. Getting it down, and the paper itself is not actually going to reach the paper on the middle of the hinge. But the nice part is as that foam melts into a plastic, it'll help seal it off. And you don't need a lot of bevel. Just go at it nice and easy. Finish off the edges that you need to. You see I got it pretty much down to the paper there. I'll do the bottom part. Just back and forth. No stress. Let it progressively work itself down there. Even it out to what you already have. Give it just a little bit of loving. And there you go. You're back down to where you need to be. Grab your sanding block. Knock those pieces of foam off there. Just like that. Take it pretty much to the paper. You can see it's opened up there a little bit, but it's all sealed off. That heat from the iron has sealed it all off. Go over it with my block. Just kind of pick up any residual stuff. Now it's entirely up to you. You could actually double bevel the other side and finish it off if you like. It actually helps seal this edge off. You could actually take the iron if you wanted to and just go flat up against the edge. Don't worry about any sort of like plastic getting on your plate or anything like that. Your plate is hot enough to melt the plastic or the foam itself into a plastic. So the nice part is that while the iron plate is hot, you can go over it with a cloth and everything just wipes right off. So as far as my hinge goes, you can see it actually looks like I cut the bevel, but I didn't. I've sealed it in and I haven't added any glue to it. The shininess right there is the foam turning into a plastic. And if you actually take a look, forms just like a hinge would, just like if you cut and beveled that thing yourself. And you don't get any deformations on the other side. What I like to do on the other side myself is just reinforce the other side with a little bit of Scotch tape, packing tape, whatever you're into. You can go right to the top if you want, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty simple stuff right there. I really like that actually. Turned out really well. Anyway, I do have a scrap piece of foam here just to kind of give you an idea of other stuff to do if you're really into being that kind of person who likes to double up on their vertical stabilizer, that kind of thing. I'll kind of just quickly show you here on a scrap piece. Again, just going to take it down. Say your double bevel for like the leading edge of a wing or anything like that. Going to take it right down. You can see how you know, it's pretty much like a hinge line. Took it right down to the paper right there, flip it over.